Today, get ready for the pH balance, because it's just Paul and Heather. This is ChillPoint.
Hey, Paul.
Hello. Where's Beige?
Mysteries.
And when you can't see Beige, that's when he's the most dangerous.
It's true. He could be in the middle of a beach drop at any moment, and it could be you next.
Ah. No, Beige already gave all his opinions about the Nintendo Direct at the end of the last checkpoint.
Yeah, so we threw him off so that we would have more airtime, just the two of us. That's not true at all, but it could be.
No. Beige has secret extra business to be doing, so.
He got removed for making a bad, over-the-shoulder promise and hype expectation of Investigations 2, and Heather was so angry that she kicked him out. That's also not true, but I knew.
There was a surprisingly large number of people in the comments this video that were not impressed by having.
We've been hoping for a thing to go next to this one. Yes, always
have their hopes lifted and then dashed again. Look, I did the graphic for that, but it was at Beige's request.
Oh, so. I know. He told me about it when he was writing the story. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and I'm just like, "All right, you do that. You suffer the consequences of that, but you go ahead."
All right, welcome to the ChillPoint, the show where we talk about CheckPoint, the show that we have on YouTube. Comes out on Thursdays on YouTube. Check it out if you haven't. youtube.com/loadingreadyrun. And we're going to be talking about some of the stories that we did talk about on CheckPoint, give you some background info, and talk about some of the stories that didn't make it in, because we had to talk about more Nintendo stuff.
To be fair, there wasn't that much outside of the Nintendo stuff.
I like, actually, we added a line at the last minute to the Nintendo Direct sort of roundup story, where Beige being like, and by the way, thank you for having the Nintendo Direct on Wednesday so we can report about it, because they often will have them on like Thursday, and so it'll be like, a bunch of new news happened that we can't talk about right now because we didn't have time to write stories about it.
It is definitely the thing I've heard in many other gaming podcasts too, where it's just like, they're doing it on the day we release and not the day we record.
Apparently BlizzCon is happening like now, so cool. I hope there's fun stuff. But before we get into Nintendo Direct, let's talk about the couple other stories that we did. The few stories that are not Nintendo Direct, directly Nintendo Direct related. For one thing, this whole Google Stadia continued cluster bus, which, to be honest, it's not that like new information has come out in terms of what's happening. Nothing new has happened. It's more we just have found out additional bad feels. Oh man. Ooh. So the story here is that Google Stadia, while Stadia itself continues to be a thing, and
for now
they haven't said anything about being the internal Google or the internal Stadia Games and Entertainment Studio, which was I remember when we started doing this, we talked about this story like 2 weeks ago or whatever. Even finding the name of what the internal Stadia studio was called, and like there's no logo or anything. Like I couldn't find a graphic to put with it.
Oh no. That never bodes well.
So we have found out that they sent out a letter, an email to everybody, the vice president of Google Stadia sent out an email to all the Stadia games and entertainment people, being like, "Great progress is building. We've made great progress building a diverse and talented team and establishing a strong lineup of Stadia exclusive games. We will confirm the SG&E Stadia Games and Entertainment investment envelope shortly, which will in turn inform the Stadia Games Entertainment strategy and 2021 objectives."
And that strategy was goodbye.
Yeah, and so then a week later, they found out that they had been fired at the same time as the rest of us found out, because they weren't given pre-information. And then they were like, "But please, don't talk to the press about it for 3 days. Like, we're going to be having a meeting in 3 days where we'll answer all your questions about it." And so 3 days later, they had that conference call with the VP, and it became apparent during that conference call that they knew that they were going to be. This wasn't just bad timing. They knew that they were going to be closing the studio when they sent out that letter.
Yep. And I mean, the reasoning is pretty obvious. It's, oh, gee, it costs a lot of money to make video games. We couldn't foresee that.
And yeah, I mean, it's the problem with like, it's obviously Google's got a ton of money. It's not that they don't have the money to do it. It's more that Google tends to have, like, loses interest in things, or
feels like it, definitely.
Like, you know, no knowledge of the internal structure of Stadia or Google, of course, but the impression I get is that it's like somebody at the company was like, "Yes, Stadia," super enthusiastic about it. And then that person either got bored and moved on to something else, or left, or changed, or got interested in a different topic. It's like, stop paying attention to it. And without that high level person pushing for it, everybody else is like, "Why are we doing this?"
I mean, it's a possibility. I can't, oh man, I can't imagine being the person who's like, we're gonna shut down the studio. I'll tell everybody right now that we're doing fine, and we'll tell them later about our new strategy for 2021. And like, because it doesn't make much of a difference, I think, to tell people the week before, this isn't working out, we're gonna end up shutting down the studio.
Right.
Why tell them the lie? Like, at least when I worked at a store where I had a customer come in and tell me that the company I was working for went into receivership, I knew the reason was that they were trying desperately not to shut down, and they didn't want their staff to just leave. But in this case, their staff's going to leave anyway. So I don't know what the point is.
And I mean, I remember back in the day, you know, a year or two ago when Stadia first came out, they really poached some high level people. Like, from what I understand, Stadia Games and Entertainment was stacked with some pretty good. I mean, Jade Raymond obviously was like the big thing, and she just left as well before this happened. And so yeah, so if you're a video game studio, there's gonna be some people who are very talented.
I hope they all find jobs. I think the video game industry of being a dev, if you're working for different companies, already seems like it's really highly in flux, and that they like to lay off people after every project to save money. But I hope they find jobs somewhere doing something good.
That like firing everybody or laying people off after a particular project is done, only to rehire them when the next one comes. That's just not a great...
Yeah, it's not particularly an amazing thing. No.
Speaking of amazing things, I don't know.
Maybe positive things?
Positive things, yeah. So a guy called Mike, I don't know what his last name is, but we'll just call him Mike. He made a game Steam, and it's called Emoji Evolution. And I have no idea what the game is because I don't care, and it doesn't
No.
matter. Because what this story is about is that the publisher and the developer of the game that Mike, or at least what Mike put in for those things, presumably these are just, you can just put in whatever you want, and he put in very positive. And because of how the Steam because of how Steam looks and how they present things, it makes it look like the game is rated very positive. And so he got banned for that. And he's clearly, like, if you look at his Twitter account, like, he's clearly kind of trolling about it. Like, he's
Sure.
talking about various other ways that people have gamed Steam's system and things like that. So in some ways, I think this might have been just like, can I do this? I shouldn't be able to do this. I'm going to do it until Steam gets mad at me to prove that it's possible.
I think it's funny that he got banned for review manipulation, since that's not exactly what he did. It's more it is a manipulation of a specific perception, but it's not like he manipulated actual reviews, or he did anything like in the sense of review bombing or anything like that. It's just, I made my developer name a thing because I noticed your fonts and everything look very similar, and you place them all in a very same area. Mm-hmm. So maybe you want to change your graphic design a little bit.
Yeah. It's sort of guerrilla user interface commentary. And also, of course, taking advantage of Steam's, shall we say, slapdash review process for games, if there is any review process for getting games into the Steam.
Mm-hmm. It really throws me off when people are like, "Oh yes, this game rated very positive," and I'm like, "Oh right, I'm really used to people talking about numbers, or like, I don't know, some BS thing of like 4 stars or whatever." But like, very positive, and like, oh, what, thumbs up, thumbs down? That's all we're getting. Okay.
That's definitely a thing in like the like iOS App Store. They'll be like 4-star rated. Find tile thing, like, will be the actual like name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's enough preamble. Let's get into Nintendo Direct, which kind of, obviously Nintendo does these, but this was a pretty big deal in the sense that they haven't done one in 2021 yet.
The last one was like a year and a half ago. Like,
oh wow, they've had,
so the last general Direct. Let's be very clear. There have been other Directs. There's other Direct marketing, but fandom wise, everyone's always very angry about it because it's not the general Direct. Because the general Directs have the bigger announcements, the longer announcements,
which is
the more hyped announcements, like the E3 style announcements.
And this was a general Direct.
Yes. Yeah, you can tell the difference because Nintendo will call them mini Direct or partner Direct or some other Direct, but they'll just call this a Direct. Fandom calls it a general Direct.
I appreciate that there's fandom, like that they aren't even fans of like Nintendo itself. They're fans of the Nintendo Directs.
Feels definitely like they are more invested in the commercial than the actual games coming out sometimes. Yes.
It's the like Super Bowl ads thing.
But yeah, the last one we technically got for this style was, I believe, September 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2020 kind of took a little bit of a beating.
Which is not, obviously they've had other events in 2020, but there's nothing inherently like the Nintendo Directs were always like presenting trailers and clips and stuff. So it's not like they couldn't do it in 2020 because they couldn't get together live to like present it in a
No,
big theater.
I'm a lot of the stuff that I've seen is stuff in regards to having to contact a lot of companies and get everyone together. And when everybody has new work from home procedures, that's harder. I don't know how far in advance they make these as well, or they have to get people on board with them. I don't know, like Nintendo Directs, at least the general ones, always seem to have like this really good flow to them as well in terms of an editing stance. So I don't know how long that takes them or how well they curate that. But also the general directs, at least the E3 ones, have people in person, have like fun skits and stuff kind of built in that are good from an entertainment perspective as well.
Right.
And so from what I can tell, this is more of a PR took a bit of a kick with the coronavirus, and that probably made some stuff harder to go. And then when you add in Nintendo wanting to probably not necessarily announce things really far in advance while they're trying to make sure their production lines and stuff are going,
Well, I mean,
it doesn't help either.
And Nintendo, I mean, they've been a little light on first party
They have
titles
been.
lately too, so they probably didn't have anything. But
Like I think 2020 was probably always going to be a little bit lighter of a year in terms of that kind of thing anyway. But you know, when you top that with other stuff, it's not a lot of fun. But yeah, they finally had. There's websites that keep count. It's something like 530 odd days or something since the last general direct. But yeah, I've been mired in watching people argue about whether or not they've had a direct or a real direct or real games or not real games for so long that I'm really just glad they finally had one so people would shut up.
That wasn't a real direct. It's cute that you think that will make people shut up.
It will for a little bit.
Now
they'll argue about different things. That's
about
okay.
What's in the direct.
It's the same reason why I would like Nintendo to finally announce a Pro or something so people will shut up about that one for a while. Even if it's only like for 3 months. I need a break from it. I should probably stop reading the internet, but that's not going to happen.
So obviously, you know, the Graham and Beach went over most of the stuff. We won't go over everything again. But the ones that we did call out, which was the Skyward Sword, bringing the remake with improved controls, which is something that everyone seems to be very excited about. So
it's the biggest complaint that game had from internet forums. That and like some repetitive gameplay is my understanding. I've not played it. I'm excited for it to come to the Switch because I don't want to play it on older hardware. But that's me, and I think anyone else who's just like, oh, I haven't played this game and whatnot, this will be fine for. Everybody else is just like, $60 US. I don't want to pay that, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine if you've already played it. I get that. It doesn't look like they've really, at least they haven't stated that they've upgraded much. They've just said it's HD. The logo looks the same. They haven't shown off anything new other than the motion controls.
Like they fancied up the graphics somewhat, but
yeah. So who knows? I've seen some people say they're gonna they'll put in like some extra, like an extra dungeon and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I really think if they were gonna do that, they would have told us about that during this direct. They would have given that extra punch in there.
It'll be, Skyward Sword and Ganon's Fury. They'll add like a little.
Oh, that's definitely been a joke around the internet. That would have been fun. Oh, I would have loved that.
And then in other triangle news, because Nintendo didn't have enough RPGs that involve triangles. Um, Project Triangle Strategy, which
Yeah.
is apparently not the final title, but might end up being the final title. Although, if it is, it'll be very disappointing.
I mean, people weren't hot on Octopath Traveler being the project title when that game came out, and then after a while, they were into it. Like, I think it's a fine title.
Octopath
Uh,
Traveler, I totally get. Bravely,
Triangle Strategy's
yeah,
weird.
Bravely
I'll agree.
Default was the one that really made me laugh as a title.
That has to do with the mechanic system.
I can't. Yeah, I get that, but when you just it's like it's an old school RPG, and we're calling it Bravely Default because everything is just kind of default. But yeah, I mean I love the idea, like the Octopath Travel, like the style of the Octopath Traveler, the what they call
Oh
HD two
yeah, yeah, I'm
HD two
very into
D.
that. Eight,
It's a super
H
neat
two
style.
point five HD, I think is what they the 2.5 because it's 2D,
HD.
but it's got like a bit of a 3D thing.
There's
The HD is weird
there's literally
in
like
that, but
five different things that are called 2.5D. Like we need another name for stuff. Different
yeah.
combinations of 2D and 3D.
I mean, when they put the title up for when they put up the thing that said, "Oh, the newest in the series of 2.5 HD titles," it was like, I don't know a series by that name. What? And then Project Triangle Strategy came up and was like, "Are we sure?" That's I don't know what's going on, but it looks good. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually really happy about the. So some people have been upset because they announced a couple of games that were coming out in 2022, and that was one of them.
Mm.
But they did this with Bravely Default. They put out a demo. They asked for player feedback. They did a thing that was like, we've taken your feedback. We're putting out another demo so you can see it, but we're also giving a presentation which I did not watch because I don't actually care about Bravely Default, telling you about the changes we made based on your feedback. And now that game Bravely Default will come out. I think it's this month or next month or something. And so to see them be like, okay, well that game's coming out. This game, which Heather has way more interest in, has a demo. It's not going to come out till 2022, but it's got a demo. We're going to ask for feedback, and I'm like, I'm into this style of stuff. If you're going to do this, actually,
Did they actually have they said like what they changed based on feedback? Because I mean
for
that
Bravely Default, yeah,
yeah.
they tweaked some of the difficulty settings. They did a presentation on it. I just didn't watch it
Because
because
yeah,
I
that's
didn't.
a I mean
It's not
that's
what
a
I care
very
about.
interesting thing because like it's tough to put out a demo with the saying that you're going to take feedback because of course if everyone says change everything then it's like, well, we can't do that. So
Like, I don't think they're gonna like change the art style if people say they don't like the art style, but mechanically, if there needs to be tweaking in an adjustment, or if people are like, could you add like another difficulty layer
I mean,
or something?
I bet like I would imagine like difficulty and um like especially like difficulty curve and scaling and that kind of stuff is probably like because that's always the hardest, of course, because when you were playing it, you're as a developer, you've been playing the thing for 2 years, so
Yeah.
evaluating what random other people will think in terms of how what a reasonable level of difficulty is always very difficult.
Yeah,
And then
and having information about what you know what's already going to happen in the game when you play again actually augments your difficulty level because you can't be taken by surprise by things.
right, exactly.
But yeah, I've downloaded that demo. I haven't played it yet, but I'm excited for it. I like a good tactics game.
I
So
I will say the amount of like very serious like people starting to like, just even in the trailer, like very serious people explaining the like geopolitical relationships between these three countries. Uh, gave me like some like unskippable flashbacks to be like, oh, this is gonna be like, there's you're gonna have to. I feel like there's gonna have to be a certain level of investment. Like for games like this, there's often I get to the like when I'm, especially when they start like that, where it's like I don't care about all these people. But anyway, let's talk about like I feel like most of the other Nintendo Direct stories were just basically like, this thing is coming out, which looks neat, but
yeah. I mean, like, I know Beach pulled out the ones that he had the most interest in making fun of.
Yeah. What were actually? I mean, I didn't actually watch the Nintendo Direct. What were some of the other stuff that happened that stories that you were interested in?
Let me just grab my notes.
As a side note,
Kidding. I do have notes, but
I don't know if it was previously established that Splatoon takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but I was surprised by that.
So the problem is I don't know if that was lore that they put in game or not, because Splatoon has a habit of within their PR and stuff, like especially within Splatoon PR. Previously, they've had people come out being Splatoon scientists and acting like everything is in world, and so there's a lot of lore that I think is actually outside of the game. And yeah, Splatoon's always been kind of like this post-apocalyptic world that you're fighting in, as far as I understand it.
That like sea creatures are walking around, or have like mutated into people and are walking around on, because like in the like not just the squidlings, but like in that trailer when she's on like the train, there's like a fish man and different people like
yeah
kind of standing around.
Because there's been rumors of like we're gonna get Splatoon 3, or maybe rumors is a bad word. It might be just speculations based on one image, or that we're gonna get like a spin-off game, because clearly we can't have Splatoon 3 on a console that already has Splatoon 2, that kind of thing. And so when the thing started up and I was like, okay, character creator, that's cool. Walking along, wait, are we getting a Splatoon game, or is this a spin-off? Is this like an action adventure open world spin-off thing? Because I love the art style of Splatoon. I don't even dislike the gameplay. It doesn't keep me for very long. So I was hoping for a spin-off.
Is Splatoon actually secretly the new Beyond Good and Evil? Like a bunch of like adorable,
not to that
adorable
grade.
Animals like hanging out together in a post-apocalyptic world is kind of Beyond Good and Evil.
That's true. Yeah, I think like a lot of people are very, very excited for Splatoon 3. That one is the other one that got announced for 2022, which actually disappointed a number of people, because Splatoon has been kind of like a game that comes out in the summertime, or at least it feels like a game that should come out in the summertime. And so to see it and be like, oh, it's February, we're getting Splatoon 3 like this year, because like the direct tweet said that they were going to talk about games focusing on the first half of this year. And then to have the year pop up kind of feels like, okay, then why did you tell us this? But we have other big games we're waiting for that we're hoping are coming out this year, that kind of thing. And it's just like, I don't think anyone really knows why Nintendo chose now to talk about Splatoon 3 specifically, but
with the whole like, these are games that are coming out in the first 6 months of the maybe Nintendo's banking on the fact that everyone is very bad at tracking how time passes these days, and they'll be like, this is coming out in 2022, which is 6 months from now. And we'll all be like, sure, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume for the next because I expect this game to come out maybe May at the earliest, maybe June or July. Just because that for me that's the feel I get from that game. So it's like a year and a half out roughly, and I expect that once we get to like a few months from now, they'll start hyping up the hype train. Some people are using this as that 2022 must be when they're putting out the Switch Pro because clearly they'll put this on the Switch Pro, and maybe that's true. People said that about Monster Hunter Rise as well, though, because Monster Hunter Rise, when they announced it, did not come out with a console that was fancy, and then they did announce a Switch version of that, which is not a new Switch. So
the great thing about Switch Pro rumors is that any information or no information all confirms that the Switch Pro will be coming out. It's like a new game coming out in 2022 or coming out soon confirms that the Switch Pro must be in development because they're going to make it for the Switch Pro. But a new game not coming out means that they must be holding that game back for the Switch Pro.
Yep. That is pretty much the discourse on that. Along with they couldn't tell us Breath of the Wild 2 news, so we're not getting it this year. Which I'll admit, it's a possibility we don't get that this year because they haven't told us we're getting it this year. But it's also February, and my opinion on that is just like if we get to like June, like a June Direct E3 time frame kind of thing, and they don't tell us about Breath of the Wild 2, yeah, we're probably not getting that this year. But I feel like now is maybe a little too early to say, well, they didn't talk about it. They keep telling us they can't talk about it right now. Like, nah, it's probably more they don't want to. Or, they want to actually do a Zelda 35th Anniversary Direct or something. And
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I kind of thought we were going to get that this week. Or rather, I hoped we were going to get that this week. But maybe we'll get it after they're done with Mario's year.
Let's so moving on to stories that we didn't talk about during the checkpoint. There's so Microsoft Flight Simulator, the hyper realistic flight simulating game that people have been really into. Just got World Update 3, United Kingdom and Ireland, and it adds all sorts of, because there's sort of the base level of detail they got from satellites and various other things. But then they've been doing these world updates where they have been going in and like adding a ton more detail from what do they call the like laser vans and stuff. All the things that they use on like Google Earth and Bing Maps. I guess Bing Maps in this case. To where they analyze all the actual, so they have all this not just from above, but they have all the structures like from the side and things. So they've added like a ton of they've added airports, all the stuff to render a bunch of the like cities like London and Bristol, Cambridge, Oxford, Birmingham. What I love is all the stuff that they said they've added all these architectural features, and say we added compelling architectural elements throughout the region, ranging from British manors and Victorian homes to countryside stone structures, castles, churches, and even some drive-through restaurants. Is the quote. Which can you fly your plane through a drive-through restaurant? Please. I hope when this patch actually comes out, if it has already come out, I hope somebody makes a video of like attempting to fly like a 747 through the drive-through. It's like, sir, this is literally a Wendy's right now, please.
Yeah, they don't like it when you try to go through the drive-through not in a car. Mm-hmm. At least not in my experience.
They say you can't walk through it, but I don't know if there are rules about taking a plane through the drive-thru. Maybe that's not something they've.
I tried rollerblades once, and they did not particularly care for it.
They're like,
But in my defense, they
you
said that I couldn't enter the store with rollerblades on, and I didn't want to take them off. So,
and you're on wheels. I mean, it's basically a car.
yeah. What? Maybe I just needed a second person behind me who could have been tied together with a rope.
I think we mentioned this before, but Animal Crossing New Horizons is going to be coming out with an update on February 25th with a Mario update that not only includes like Mario outfits for your people, so you can give them Mario outfits and mustaches or princess or Luigi or Toad or whatever, but also, you know, blocks and flags. And apparently you could basically like, you can kind of Mario Maker stuff. Like you can literally build like Mario levels and jump on things and do stuff.
Yeah.
And you can make warp pipes that actually warp you.
That's the really interesting information, because a lot of these items existed in New Leaf. So they're not new in the sense of like they're new to the franchise. They're new in sense of New Horizons getting them finally, because like I think they announced that they were going to give these as part of that Mario 35th anniversary direct. They mentioned that we were going to get these items in March, or yeah, roughly around March, and so the warp pipes actually working though is a big deal. And I read a thing, let me see if I can find it. Right, so if you have more than 2 warp pipes, you'll emerge from a random warp pipe when you go into one.
Ooh, that's fun.
They did a bit of a rundown. You can place one inside your house, so you can travel between inside and outside. Which I'm like, oh, that is the interesting item, right? That's the item that opens up possibilities in terms of like, are you going to try and make a weird maze that's very frustrating because random, or you going to put it inside your house so you can just warp right to Nook's Cranny all the time? This means people aren't going to have to put their houses right close to all the amenities. They can put them very far away and be like, I'm just going to warp down to town. Like, I think that's very cool.
Warp pipe right in front of the toilet. Just,
yeah.
Gotta go. Boink, jump.
It also sounds like they're adding in Hinamatsuri items. I'm not sure what Japanese holiday that is offhand. And a Pi Day item.
Is it a circle?
And some St. Patrick's Day stuff. It just says get a pie between March 1st and March 14th, and they're using the symbol for pi. So it could be a sign. It could be a pie. I don't really know.
A pie?
A pie. So that's exciting.
A couple of cool Xbox stories. For one thing, we've talked before about how Microsoft has been doing a lot of great work with for accessibility with their adaptive controller and that kind of stuff. And they have just released a whole new set of developer guidelines, or a whole revamped set of developer guidelines for accessibility and that kind of stuff but what's interesting is it's sort of done. They're overhauling it and putting stuff in very. It sounds like they're putting things in very sort of technical, sort of actionable ways. Not just sort of try to do this better, but it's like, here's what you can actually do. And so, always very positive to see that kind of stuff be pushed. And it's neat that Microsoft has been hitting this particular thing so much.
Yeah, I'm really glad to see this on a platform level as opposed to every game developer having to try to sort out their own stuff.
Right.
I think platforms really need to play a bigger role in trying to make their stuff more accessible and helping devs who are making games for their platforms be more accessible, especially smaller devs.
And on another Xbox related thing, which is not related to really accessibility, but in kind of a similar mode, Xbox or Microsoft has just talked about some of their new backwards compatibility initiatives where they're setting up a new feature called FPS boost, as in frame rate boost, which allows previous, Xbox One games to be played on the Series X and the Series S at higher frame rates than they were originally intended to. But in a way, this is important, in a way that doesn't require the actual developers of those games to spend a bunch of work. Because as we talked about before, especially most recently with Bloodborne, is that there's a lot of games that are designed to be at a fixed frame rate, and that tick of the frame rate is what is used to time things in the game and stuff, and even stuff like physics and different things like that. Everything is, and so when you change the frame rate, you mess up a lot of stuff. And so that's why you can't just have your game go, oh, I want to be this other frame rate. But because Microsoft also, not only does Microsoft make the console, but they also make DirectX, which is the API that for 3D rendering and stuff, and that is used both on the consoles and on PC and various stuff. Basically, what they've done is, or they've made Direct 3D, I should say. Basically, what they've done is they've made an adapted version of the Direct 3D APIs that allows games to just be rendering as they would with no rendering their code as they would with nothing different from the game's perspective. But basically, every call that they send to the Direct 3D API gets returned much quicker than it would be previously. By using the full power of the system, but without changing the rest of their timing code. So so instead of maybe previously they had required waiting for certain things. So anyway, that's my interpretation of what's going on. I'm sure it's a very technical thing, but it's a neat idea, and they've rolled it out on a few games right now. UFC 4, Far Cry 4, Super Lucky's Tale, Watch Dogs 2, Sniper Elite 4. But from what I understand, that's mostly like because they just want to test the games, make sure it does work with the system.
You've got to test it on something.
But it's neat that you can that can be done on Microsoft's side as opposed to going back to the developers and getting we talked about with patches for these older games to work on the new systems with enhanced graphics and stuff. If the developers don't have to do them, then there's a much better chance of them actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a different project going on and you're not working on a patch for a game anymore, or like there's updates and it's like, do we update our game for the system or whatever? And yeah, I agree. If it's more on the hardware side, that they can just say, oh, good, that runs better now. Even great. That's just even better that I don't have to actually do the work for it, right?
Okay. Most important news.
Very important.
No Man's Sky has just added another update, another free content update called the Companion Update. Now, previously, you have been able to tame animals that you encounter, but now you can tame them and they become your friend, and they follow you around, and you can take them with you to other planets and to space stations or whatever, and they can get like lasers on their backs, and they can like go mining for you and help you out with things.
They're kind of cute. I mean, they're not cute in the way that I thought they'd be, but a little
Well, but
dinosaur with a space helmet on it's pretty neat.
They can be whatever. They can, because all the animals are
This is just
algorithmically generated. I think there's only the like herbivorous, non-hostile type animals, but I don't know what kind of animals all animals you can tame. But
you care for your pets enough, and they'll lay eggs, and then they incubate in your exosuit. Baby pets inherit traits from their parents. Wow, this is just breeding simulator now.
Yeah.
You can trade rare or desirable eggs with other players, or use the new egg sequencer to tinker with their DNA and create entirely new life forms altogether.
You have to.
Wow, this is quite the update.
Yeah, you have to feed. So people are asking, can you pet them? You can. Well, I'm assuming so, because you can feed them, you can play with them, you can give them attention. So I'm assuming that includes petting.
They can adopt up to 6 companions. Okay, that's just getting really way too close for Pokemon comparisons.
So, I've actually started playing a little bit of No Man's Sky, just on my own, and I've like started getting into it a little bit, but I haven't quite. It's more populated than I expected it to be. Like not necessarily like in the sense of like multiplayer 3D stuff or multiplayer stuff, but I expected there to be more like a lot of like, oh, you're crashed on this planet and you're all alone and you have to like make things. But like within about 5 minutes of me like starting the game, you see like flybys of like spaceships go by and you're like, oh, there's other spaceships.
Okay, like in terms of like,
and you encounter like other alien races that are like like spacefaring races, and there's like a space station.
Yeah, you're expecting more of the this is a deserted planet, but there's still like a lot of animals and wildlife, but there's not a lot of other spaceship faring species around who are also exploring or that you're just going to run into.
Yeah, like I played a lot of Subnautica, which I really liked that. And that does have that, like kind of lonely, you're all alone in the water and also everything wants to eat you. Which Subnautica has it goes from like the most wonderful, relaxing to the most like claustrophobically terrifying. I'm gonna get eaten and I can't see what's eating me, and I'm running out of air and I'm trapped.
Yeah.
The swing from one to the other can give you a bit of whiplash, but it's a fun game. Boop, 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 boop. We did there was the coming up where talking about guy who beat Breath of the Wild with just his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like this guy is a Zelda speedrunner. And yeah, he was actually able to not do all of the like speedrun tactics and things, but was actually able to do like some skips and things.
Oh, that's pretty neat.
Through wall, like skip through walls by doing weird moves and stuff with his feet. It's quite impressive. Also, I feel like that. I mean, again, that's maybe a good indication of that Breath of the Wild 2, because once you've got to the point where your game's been out long enough that people can beat it with their feet, that's maybe a good indication that the sequel is due.
Yeah, I mean, we if at earliest probably holiday. Like they've got Age of Calamity that came out last year, so that was because it's kind of an in between thing. That was never gonna be a last year thing, but I would like the sequel to come out this year. That would be my hope. I do think it's very important to point out that that lower third about the ass turkey is true.
Yes.
That is in Metopia. I know I've played Metopia for the
Just
3DS.
just to clarify, this is a turkey and a donkey
No, it's
combined.
called it's called a twerky, and it is essentially a turkey with a very large butt that it
Oh,
sticks up at you.
I thought that was a turkey with a butt.
Yeah,
That's
it's just a very incredibly large butt, and it throws the butt at you. It's
tur-
hard to ignore with how
turkey
large
as
the butt
designed by
is.
Pixar.
Yes, it's I can't remember the original pun in Japanese, but the game itself is full of a lot of puns. I think that's why they had to go with twerky for the English one as far as they could. But yeah, I've played it. You can watch that playthrough over on my
Oh,
VOD channel, Twitch or youtube.com/lunarjade if you really want, because I played that back in like 2017. And that's actually probably my only disappointment is I'm glad that that game is coming to Switch because I want more people to play it, and it means that Mii's aren't dead because I like Mii's. But their biggest additions that they've talked about were more makeup choices and a horse, and I'd really just like a sequel.
like Nintendo, you can't just put makeup on a horse, okay? You got to spend some work on it.
It's a really fun game though. It's essentially it's a story. Think of it if you think of it more as a play where you put your friends' Mii's into, so they play specific parts of the story, and you go through this adventure, and you get to see your friends being all weird. So like I've like I think I started with an RPG party that was like me and Corey and Kate and Kathleen because we were hanging out a lot more at that time, all of us, and then you get more people that you can switch in and out, and they like hang out together in rooms to get their relationships higher, which means they do better in fights. And then I have like a whole saga where I made Ben 3 different characters that are fighting over each other in a love triangle. It was a lot of fun. It's a really cute game.
Yeah, acting out RPG style romances with your friends as the characters is an interesting or little like me representations of your.
Yep. This
It's
game
an
actually
interesting
got
idea.
like Tomodachi Life got a lot of flack because they didn't put same sex relationships in it. But the Metopia, because it kind of has this relationship meter where you can have two people of the same sex clearly getting closer and closer together, it got an 18 plus rating in Russia because of their weird laws. But yeah, there's an
Man,
ass turkey in it, and that's very important that people know that.
People who buy that hoping for like, oh man, this 18 plus game is going to be super sexy, are going to be very disappointed.
It's also I think they still have the demos on the 3DS, which are not demos in the sense of, if I remember right, they're not demos in the sense of you're actually playing the game so much as you put your friend's Mii's in it, and it plays out a trailer with your friend's Mii's being all silly and goofy.
That's cool. And the last story was something that I marked because it seemed super interesting to me, and it's possible that this is because I don't play these kind of team shooters, maybe this isn't like a new thing that they're doing, but I thought this is an odd idea that so Valorant is just pushed out a new update, change a bunch of balance changes, various things got nerfed, some stuff, but they're also added a new game mode called Escalation, and this is where the players start with super powerful weapons and abilities, and then every few kills you get worse weapons and abilities. So it's harder to kill people, I guess. And then until one team gets a certain number of kills with like the weakest weapons is the end of the thing. So, which seems like it's sort of an interesting reversal of what I would expect it to be.
I mean, especially in a game like Valorant, right?
Yeah. I would argue that doesn't sound like escalation to me. Like, that sounds like de-escalation. Like, that sounds like progressive disarmament. Like, let's just all like that's kind of a representation in 10 minutes or however long a match takes place of like what the entire world is like. We've got really powerful weapons, but if we use those, the entire world is destroyed. Let's start scaling it. We can still kill each other, but let's kill each other with smaller weapons. It is a classic CS the CS gun game. Oh, okay. It is a game mode, came from Counter-Strike. Okay.
Okay.
I suspected that it wasn't like a unique thing to Valorant, but calling it escalation, I guess, was the thing that confused me.
It really got you?
Yeah, it's like, I feel like that's not escalation. That's the opposite of escalation, which I guess is de-escalation. That's getting things become safer over time until eventually people are just, I don't know, slapping each other.
They can only slap each other with the dueling glove, and then once they've done that, well,
and then
they'll just have to talk at each other, and then I guess they can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's just insults. And then they just actually, and then then they're just being nice to each other. All right, I think that is all the stories. I've seen a few things in chat. People talking about some new stuff for coming from BlizzCon. So presumably we will be talking about that next week. Which
if there's anything of interest too. I would hope so. They have a whole entire con about it.
I gotta say though, Blizzard, poor timing on your part, Blizzard. In terms of, if you want the full CheckPoint coverage, Friday is a very poor day to be releasing all your news. You should try like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday is pretty good. Wednesday, I wouldn't go past Wednesday because then you can't even get into the main or our teaser trailer for our Friday episode. And but like Tuesday's really good because it gives us a lot more time to digest that information.
Yeah, I mean, I know the video game revolves around getting news to CheckPoint, with at the appropriate time. So I'm just giving you some pointers. All right, let's talk about what's coming up. Because
what is happening tonight?
What's coming up is Friday Night Paper Fight, which will not be paper. It will be on Arena. But it is a gladiator monocolor challenge. So we have 6 players. With each of them will be playing a monocolor deck in one of the 5 colors plus brown, as in artifacts. And they will be going up against each other. We will finally know definitively which color is the best. I don't know why in the 20 years or 25 years that Magic has existed, nobody has figured out which is the best color of Magic.
Wait, how many people are playing?
6.
Oh, okay. So they are doing colorless as well then.
Yeah, so 5 colors plus brown, which is artifacts colorless.
It's just that sounds really weird.
It's
Five colors plus brown.
5 colors plus
Oh,
brown.
look,
It used to
my
be
friend Applejack is here too.
it used to be that artifacts were brown, and so it was great. It was, but and then they made artifacts just sort of another color of gray. But that's what we're going to be doing starting at 5 o'clock, so in a little under 2 hours. So check that out. That should be a lot of fun. And find out which color reigns supreme. And then on Saturday, James is going to continue his epic escape from Tarkov.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Tarkov has a search party out looking for him. So we'll see if he can escape from the search party that's part of Tarkov. I don't know how the game is played. Every time I switch to I look at his stream, it'll usually be like before, because he'll be playing, and then I'll be doing a stream afterwards. And so it'll be like near the end of his stream. And so almost every time I've been looking at his stream, he's been doing what appears to be like a ridiculously huge amount of inventory management. Like moving things. He seems to have like 30 backpacks and is like moving things between all these backpacks. I don't know what percentage of the game is inventory management and what percentage of the game is like running around shooting people. It seems to be about like 60-40.
Well, I mean, I only see like the parts around break time, which again is definitely backpack inventory management time. And then I watched like the beginning part because I try to find different images of him and Funko for the thumbnail I make for that one, which I always find really funny because I'm like, oh, Funko smiled, perfect, nice picture of Funko. James made a funny face, excellent picture of James.
Oh no, that's just James's face. Ah well,
close enough.
And then on Sunday, Ian is going to be sneakily coming back to his play it forward of Project Cars, because he made a new wheel on or changed his wheel yesterday.
He did an upgrade to his wheel or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw a weird photograph of him biting it, so who knows what he's done to it.
Do bite marks help the wheel? I guess we'll find out.
I don't know. Speed running is a very weird thing, and you can do all kinds of things for it, so I am assuming...
So I guess he's going to be evaluating whether the new wheel works better. So he's going to be playing Project Cars, and then afterwards, going to be playing Taiko Drum Quest.
Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythmic Adventure Pack. We're almost done game 1.
Ooh.
We think. We're pretty sure. We ran into the villain's younger self in the future, and we're gonna...
Wait, the younger self is in the... You know what?
Yeah, it's complicated. And maybe we're going to make him good again, or we're going to destroy him. I don't know. We've definitely derailed that into our own story about a villain that we call Professor Subway, and not anything to do with the actual characters in the game. So it's fun.
I guess a game about a sentient time-traveling taiko drum. I shouldn't be that confused, that surprised that it's a complicated story.
I wouldn't say complicated. I'd say convoluted.
Convoluted. Just because a lot of stuff happens doesn't mean it's complicated.
It's not really complicated. It's just weird. Yeah.
And then on Monday, we have Alien First Law Episode 2. This is the Session 3, Episode 2, because the first episode was Episode 0. I did actually want to note for this, due to YouTube being a big poo-poo, last week's episode, Episode 1, is not yet up in YouTube form. You can listen to it as a podcast. But if you want to check it out in video form, watch it here on Twitch. There's
Yeah, unfortunately, we're having some issues with the YouTube version, not of our fault, but definitely of YouTube's copyright claiming faults that we hate so much. And well, the Twitch VODs, at least on because we're partnered, should last a couple of months, and I goodness, hopefully we get that sorted more by like next week for the YouTube version. But yes, the podcast version is up on all your fine podcast feeds, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, and episode 0 is on YouTube, so you can watch that one there, at least. And hopefully we get that sorted. It's been a fun, really derailed my whole Wednesday.
Silly. And then later on Monday. So this is later. I wanted to mention this because this is later than we usually stream. Because after Dice Friends at 8 o'clock will be more Escape from Tarkov at Australian appropriate timing, so that El Funko doesn't need to stay up till 4 a.m. or whatever he has to do.
Yeah. I do like that it makes James stay up when he's got his own Minecraft stream the next morning.
Yeah, he's got 9 o'clock the next morning. But you got to make some sacrifices if you want to escape from Tarkov. It's just how it goes.
Yeah, but you go to loadingreadyrun.com/live and you can definitely see way further into the future as long as it's been updated. You may want to, things very far into the future may not always be accurate, but eventually they have to happen. Present time and all that. Yeah,
so loadingreadyrun.com/live has the schedule and the link to the calendar and everything too, if you want to check that out. Let's welcome all the awesome people who subscribed during the stream. Starting with Beowulf for 90 months. The 10 sub babies.
Oh, that's just maybe too many babies. Pharaoh Bender 27 for 28 months. Welcome back.
Tomasu 82 for 46 months. Thank you.
G-Dar 5000 for 47 months.
Aurelian 2773 for 49 months.
Narkuru for 33 months. Oh, yeah. Palindrome. Wait, is that palindrome? Shoot, I can't remember.
33 is a palindrome.
Cool. It's also happening 2 times in a row.
Mantifold for 33 months. 3333 is also a palindrome. I mean, it's
Can we get a third? No.
No.
Man, a third would have been hilarious. Nova Tiempo, though, for 29 months. Welcome back. You're still great.
Lucian 451 for 31 months. Thank you.
Nova Tiemp 2 for 25 months. Very nice, square, respectable number.
Snow JP for 22 months.
Thendrus for 46 months. Welcome back.
Elder Cod for 2 months. Welcome back for the 2nd month. Always nice to see that somebody didn't just click the thing by mistake. They definitely wanted to subscribe.
Arkham Refugee for 6 months. Nice.
Belpay Belpay for 31 months.
Jacob 97 for 22 months. Welcome back.
Jacob Crorkle for 47 months. That sounds like a Pokemon. Crorkle.
Sounds like a really good one, too. 8-Bit Dreams for 30 months. Yeah, man. Put all my dreams in 8-Bit 2.5 HD, please.
Razok for 84 months.
Simon 40 Russell for 51 months.
Dworky.
Yeah.
Gifted by the Maricat.
My Asper is very important. Cat to Cool, 60 months. Hey, how you doing?
Nobunaga Oda. Oh no, he's everywhere.
Well, they did. Was Samurai Warriors 5 was in the Nintendo Direct as well?
Yeah, I don't know if it made it into the episode. We were talking about that
No.
during. We were talking about that during CheckPoint. That any Japanese, like anything that's a video game that's set in Japan, that's not set in the present day, that's set any time in the past. It doesn't matter when in the past. Any time in the past, Nobunaga Oda will show up at some point.
Yeah, when I was watching the Direct for the second time, but the first time with Beach, he they brought that up, and he was just like, they were like, oh, the special focus on Nobunaga, like we've never done before. He's like, wait, they've never done that before in this series? I'm like, oh,
like,
maybe not in this way. I don't know.
If they've never done it before, they're the only ones. Nobunaga appears to, like, the only thing I know about Nobunaga is from video games, but he appears to have lived for about 2,000 years and been involved in every single important event that happened.
ChillPoint. Hey, that's a good gift, Margie RG. Thank you.
And Nintendo Direct Live! Yay! Is that the
I don't think
that they
so.
stream it from?
No, I think they just stream from Nintendo. Eric Hill for 75 months. That's 3 squared 25s.
Project Triangle Strategy. Gifted by Margie RG. Well, I mean, they have to use that name now. They have the Twitch subscription.
And gifted by Elder Cod, Incredible Frown. And Manfred 909. I don't have a facial expression for you, so...
Elder Cod here for the second month and already gifting subs. Thank you so much. And thank you for the 451 bits from Pharaohbender, Earthen One, and Core Fluxix.
For some strange reason, Nintendo has gift subs turned off. Gee, I wonder why.
I feel like there is definitely like a vulnerability there. You could be like, I don't know what would be a terrible sub. I guess you could like gift Nintendo subscriptions to like the PlayStation, and
they might not want their name like they might not want to look like they're following certain people or certain things in that respect from a company standpoint. I could see it.
Coreflux, the second X is silent. I guessed that, and yet I still pronounced it silly. I apologize. All right. We will go offline and be and if you want to check out the Friday Night Paper Fight, that will be on in an hour and a half or so.
I hear it's gonna be great with their mono colored decks.
Yes.
Multi. There are multiple cards of monocolored decks.
All right. I'm excited. I'm excited for who will be the first one whose deck violates the rules.
Is Surge playing?
And is using like a dual color or like a hybrid mana card or something.
Because if Surge is playing, my bet's on Surge. Just because I think he's done that once before by accident. Or something.
Yeah, Kitchen Finks is the one that Surge keeps. That's a white-green hybrid one that Surge keeps putting in white decks that are supposed to be either white or green. My bet's
on him.
Anyway.
Chat, you'll have to tell me because I probably won't watch, but let me know if I'm right. Don't let me know if I'm wrong. I don't care about that. I only want to know if I'm right. You can tweet me. It'll be fine.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
Bye.